Here's the chassis of the Dion Truck, as you can see here. In the last video I was looking at all of the components I had to make to get all the connecting rods, which you can all see in the vehicle now, and I was particularly worried about how congested this small area here was going to be. As you can see, I've got the foot pedals and all of these linkages all in a very small space. The other thing I had to worry about was the position of the steering box. Sorry about the quirky video, but I'm going to have to move around to show you this. So there's the steering box in between the two pedals, and also the other thing that you may notice is I've put the operating arm on the steering box and built this brass linkage on the bottom, so that once I've got the steering wheel fitted, the steering wheel will work. But back to controls. So at the moment the handbrake lever, which actually has a little ratchet to stop it going backwards and forwards, it's still loose. I've chosen not to tighten that at this moment in time. But what I have done is I've got the gearbox linkages all in place, so you can probably see some movement down there at the bottom, which is the upper gearbox operating arm. There is another one which I won't demonstrate. Down here I've built a mechanism for the clutch, so if I actually press the clutch pedal like that, you will see the clutch functioning on the vehicle, again via connecting rods. There's a bit of movement at the moment because of course this is a temporary frame, it isn't 100% fixed. And I've got the brake lever, so the brake lever goes down to a brake on the rear. I think I showed you this before, so if I just operate that, you can probably see the brake operating. At the moment I haven't actually got that lever connected. I think the screw dropped out as I was bringing the vehicle in, so you can see the end of the arm there, but it's not connected to the brake lever. But once it is, you'll see that the transmission brake actually functions. And then I've got the rear brake, so I go through that. This is one of the rear brakes. That's connected via, they're connected together via this rod here. This rod is operated by this rod. So I just, as you can see there, sorry about this, it's a bit of a messy video just because of access. And then there's another rod at the front, which I can operate there, and you can see both ends of it going. And as you can see at the top, I've chosen to leave this loose at the moment because it's something I've got to take out and modify. So that's the view of all of the operating levers. I trust you'll agree it's quite a busy area with lots of stuff going on. I am going to have to make one modification so that it works a little bit better, and that's to do with the arm that's disconnected here. But I mean, other than that, the next thing to do is to take it all apart and paint everything, and then I will reassemble it on the cab, and that will be the cab fitted, and it probably won't come off again once I've done that. So watch this space. I'll show you when it's all painted and brought back. As you can see, I've now put the cab onto the truck, and I've been busy connecting all the levers, which I'll come to in a moment. And just for demonstration purposes, I put the rear load bed onto the truck, and this is now everything that I've spent the last 18 months doing. There's a few things left to do. Lamps, I've got to make the tyres, and that will be a subject of a separate video. I have to make the steering wheel, and I'll do a video on that. And then I've got to build mud guards, which are going to be interesting. So I'm just going to start taking it apart so that you can see more detail. I've just removed the body, and you can see I've cut floorboards and put them in. I'm going to take them out next, and that's about as far as I can go with the dismantling, and you'll be able to see all the various rods and levers, and I'll demonstrate their actions again. So I've got the floorboards out, and I'm just going to tilt the vehicle over so you can see. I'll just zoom in on that if I can. Let's move the truck back slightly. But you can see this mess of levers and rods down here and all the small nuts and bolts. The reality is it took me about 4 hours to put the 5 rods on, just having to take pieces apart and put them together. If I demonstrate, you can see the clutch there moving, the brake, you can see that moving. The accelerator isn't actually connected to anything, but I'll demonstrate the rest. And then I've also got the gear lever which moves, and the handbrake with its ratchet mechanism, which you can hear there, which also moves. I'm just going to put this down a second and pan out, or pan in, sorry. Just move the camera slightly. So if you look at the gearbox, there is a brake in here. It's the transmission brake. And if I press the brake pedal with this, you'll see the transmission brake going up and down. I'm not sure whether you can see the actual, that lighter part is the brakes, and you can see the brakes moving. Similarly with the clutch. So if I just pull out a bit and get the right angle again. Sorry about the vibration. You can see the lever operating at the bottom down here, and hopefully you can see the clutch plate, or the cone of the clutch pulling in and out. And the same happens with the handbrake, which I'm just going to simply demonstrate. The handbrake is a little bit, needs a bit more adjustment, but you can see the handbrake mechanism operating there. And let's see if you can demonstrate the gearbox. I don't think the gearbox is properly engaged at the moment, but that's the handbrake. I just have to synchronise that, but the gear lever does actually operate these 2 components down here, which are the gearbox operating levers. Oh, so the gear lever just shifted when I moved that. So all in all, it took me about 4 hours, as I said, to get all the various nuts and bolts in. I've still got to do some painting. The cab is now fixed onto the chassis. I've got the side panels on, which I think you may have seen earlier. So the side panels come off, and you can see inside the engine. And I'm just going to take the camera off for a moment, and you can see more of the complexity of all the levers and whatnot that operate to the various components in the engine. So that's all completed now. The next task is to build the steering wheel, and I'll do another video explaining how I do that.